morning, everyone. I'm happy to be here this morning and happy to introduce again Caverly Morgan, who you're all probably familiar with at this point. If not, Caverly is the founder and guiding teacher of the nonprofit here in Portland that I work for, Peace in Schools. Caverly is also the founder and guiding teacher of Presence Collective, which offers a weekly meditation class on Wednesday evening time here in Portland. So a reminder that at 7 p.m. this evening in Portland, 7 p.m. Pacific Coast time, Caverly's weekly Wednesday night meditation class will happen via Zoom. So you're welcome to join that class. It's a more intimate gathering, a smaller group, about 20 folks or so. So I'll post a link to that class shortly after Caverly comes on this morning. Also, just a reminder, if you happen to be new to this platform, the way these meditations work, there will be a 30-minute guided meditation, and then following that, a question and answer period. If you would like to ask a question, there is an Ask a Question title, little in white words underneath the screen. You can click that and then type in a question that Caverly will see. Or you can also use the chat box on the side here to post a question. If you're willing to come on screen to engage live with Caverly, please indicate that in your question. That's always welcome. One other thing to say about Sangha, these morning sessions is that they have been extended. So for the time being, in the indefinite future, these will continue. And then the last thing that I'll say is that Sangha Live relies on donations in order to bring wonderful teachers like Caverly to you. And so if you're able to donate, please see the green donate button below my face. And please know that you take care of all of us who benefit from these teachings, even those who may not be able to donate because of financial reasons at this time. So with that, I will welcome Caverly on screen.
Cassandra, thank you for your service. Thank you. Friends, I'm so happy to be here today. I know I say that every day, but I truly feel grateful every time I show up to be with this Sangha. So thank you for being part of this Sangha. If you are new today, please know that you're coming in to a setting in which we've been focusing on a specific theme, process, and content, and then some steps around disidentification with the conditioned mind, a frame, if you will, that supports us in disidentifying. We've been focusing on that for the last mornings, I would say. Let's see, the last 4 sessions have had that theme. I wanted to open it up today and begin by seeing if anyone who's attended one of those sessions has any straggling questions, and then move into a more open style meditation. And I see that my screen might be just a touch dirty. So, all right, thank you, friends. So professional here. It's Jake actually from Sangha Live has ordered or is going to be ordering a camera so that the picture will be a little less pixelated and fuzzy. And they've been back ordered for the cameras have been back ordered for weeks and weeks apparently. So anyway, better quality image to come. But for now, I can at least try to keep that little camera at the top of my computer less full of smudges. So I will answer any questions or address any comments, and you don't have to worry about trying to make sure we're taking care of the people who are just showing up for the first time today. I'll do my best to be sure to be speaking in a way that catches folks up. And then I will also, of course, just use this hearing what you have to say as an opportunity to feel what's here today, what's alive today, and that will influence, as always, the meditation. So, Spencer, you said it feels like I just cleaned your glasses. Great. Good. I'm glad. So, what's been alive for you? What are you present to this morning? Is there anyone present here today that has had some insights or questions about what we've been focusing on in the last few days that you'd like to bring into the space before we move into a group sit? Hi, Eric from Arizona. Maria, hello from Sweden. Sam, London, Rivka, Jerusalem. It's just so lovely to see folks from all over. As you might know, when Martin asked me to do this, he was asking me to do this so that I could meet the need for the US contingency. And what a treat it's been that this has become so much broader than that. So thanks again to all of you. Laguna Hills, hi Jan. All right, so I'm going to trust that there are no straggling big questions. Jane, hi from Amsterdam, and Yevlin from Paris. So Maria, you're reporting in. Thank you. Space is freed up and energy is flowing. I feel the release. Okay, good. Good. Yeah, it just was important to me, given we've had this theme, to make sure no one's been left hanging in terms of maybe some aspect of the tool or the contemplative technology I've offered, some aspect that hasn't made sense to you or resonated. So Nikki, hi Caverly, I found going direct to remembrance of being more challenging yesterday than first asking the question of what my being would most desire at the time and then going direct. Okay, good. Nikki, thank you for saying that. You know, I might, I really appreciate you chiming in. That might be worth revisiting this morning. And I can say more about why after we sit, or maybe even during. That's what's arising now. All right. So friends, again, I'm gonna trust that no other comments means that folks are set to go, and we shall sit together for half an hour. Evelyn, feeling more space, clearer view, lovely. We're going to sit together for half an hour and then move into Q&A. Thank you. Again, welcome. So based on what Nikki brought into this space, I'd like to again have us begin the meditation by going straight to a direct experience of who we truly are. And this time, again, based on your comment, Nikki, let's pay very close attention to what appears to get in the way. So let go of any story about what going straight to a direct experience of who you truly are should look like, feel like, be like. And allow yourself instead to follow along with the guiding and then attend very mindfully, lovingly to what arises. With curiosity. So in other words, if something appears to be pulling you away from the experience that I'm guiding toward, be deeply interested and curious in what that is. And now, if you've been attending these calls, you have a way to name that, to see, process. And if you're new, you can go back and watch these 4 sessions about processes of the conditioned mind. So what does that mean to go straight to a direct experience? It means for this meditation, rather than focusing on specific objects to start with, sensation or counting the breath or sounds outside, all valid things to focus on, grounding. But for this meditation instead, we're going to go straight to your experience of being aware of those things. So I'm inviting you to be aware of being aware. Just for this meditation, we might take another approach tomorrow, but for today, be aware of being aware. Ramana Maharshi talked about sinking the mind into the heart. Sinking the mind into the heart, not the organ, but the heart of awareness. So often our attention is directed outward, moving from thing to thing to thing. from object to object. For this meditation, allow the attention to rest. To not hook on to any one specific thing, but rather to rest in its source. Awareness. And now from this resting, simply notice what appears to get in the way. I say appears because nothing actually gets in the way, but when we identify with thought forms or strong emotions, it feels like something's in the way of this experience, this direct experience of awareness. So with curiosity, just notice what tugs, draws the attention, what captures the attention, what pulls it out of the resting. Perhaps a process of worry, or a process, an internal conversation about not doing it right, or the story of I don't like this, the process of I don't like this. How many times a day do we do a process of I don't like this? Just notice. From awareness, from presence, notice. If, when you notice the attention hook on to thought forms, strong emotions, remember, not bad, not wrong. This is simply your opportunity to see, perhaps to name. Oh yes, The process of regret, there it is. I know how this feels in my body, in my mind, in my energetic system. You might ask in that very moment, how do I know that experience? You can only know that experience through awareness. Explore that for yourself. And then allow the attention to return to awareness itself rather than the process, the conditioned process. Through this practice, it will become less and less compelling to leave presence. Again, all of it's arising in presence. We never actually leave presence, but it feels as though we leave presence when we suffer because we're identified with the conditioned mind, because we're caught in processes. That are the result of the perception of separation. Return to being. Don't allow the conditioned mind to turn resting in your own being. Don't allow it to turn resting into the opposite of the activity of the conditioned mind. Then there will be a push and a pull, a here and a there. Notice that from resting in your own being, from being aware, thinking mind simply arises. It arises in the same undivided awareness that you rest in and as. So there's nowhere to go here. We're not coming back to a small experience on a line of time called the present moment. We're resting in presence. Borderless, undivided, infinite presence. Friends, thank you. Now is my opportunity to remind you to donate if you're able. Green button right below me. We need your support to be able to continue. So thank you. So, what did you notice about that meditation? I'm going to keep it wide open. What did you get present to in that meditation? What did you see? What revealed itself? This is the moment that I would like to invite you to come on screen if you'd like to, or you can also just type in the question box or in the sidebar, Spencer, you'd like to come on screen today. Great. Wonderful. And while we're waiting for Cassandra to bring Spencer on, and again, I would love, if you're new to this, I'd love to be able to see you for an exchange if you'd enjoy that. And there's a help page on the Sangha Live website about exactly how to do that and making sure your browser is up to date and all the steps. So hopefully, Spencer, you've followed those steps, and we'll get to bring you on. And friends, if having an exchange, a face-to-face is important to you, and you are having trouble with that, thank you, Cassandra, for posting that link. That page is so helpful. So much gratitude to Sangha Live for creating it, for finding out if there's something that you could do on your end to make it possible to come on. But you can also join me via Zoom, my Wednesday evening class, as Cassandra said, if you'd like to do a face-to-face. So while Cassandra and Spencer are tending to that, put a little note in the sidebar or in the question box. What are you present to now? Could just be a word or a phrase. No arrival, only practice. Thank you, Richard. Beautiful. No arrival, only practice, only presence. Thank you. Spencer, I'm sorry you're not able to come on screen. Please feel free to write your question in the box. Jan, perceived obstacles, running commentary, narration, stories, analyzing, even formulating questions for Caverly as uncertainties arose. I know that place very well. But in the midst of all that, there were few moments of complete relaxation and alertness, a sense of presence. How lovely. I really appreciate, Jan, that you worded it, perceived obstacles. Again, it's important to underline, to recognize that these obstacles are thought forms. It doesn't mean that there's not a reality to them, right? This is not to say like, oh, your story's just all made up. This is simply to acknowledge. Here's a concrete way to give an example. How many of you know that place in your life where you're going along and something feels like an obstacle, and it doesn't feel like a perceived obstacle. It just feels like it's a problem. It's in the way. It's not okay. And the very next day, the same thing is fine. It might not be what you choose or what you love, but it's fine. It just shows that the issue is actually in the relationship with what arises, not what arises itself oftentimes. So thank you for writing that in, Jan. Peacefulness, Joyce, thank you. Linda, sitting in the awareness of feeling, not feeling in the aftermath of the murder of George Floyd. I really appreciate, Linda, that you named this. I actually, moments before we got on this call, Cassandra asked how I was doing, and I said that that's what I'm present to in this moment. So, Linda, thank you for naming that and saying his name. And I deeply encourage you to, as I am, have it be part of your practice not to move away from your experience. So that means not to move away from the feeling, not to move away from the not feeling. In other words, when we're going numb is a coping mechanism. So if we move away from that numbness, we're just allowing that coping mechanism to be in the driver's seat. So truly moving into all of it and allowing all of it to inform how you'd like to move forward in the face of such injustice. Thank you again, Linda, for bringing that in. Spencer, I'm going to read on. I see that you're writing technical issues on the side. Let's just, if you have trouble coming on, friends, go to that help page, get the help you can, and then let's save the sidebar just for comments about the practice. It will support me in being able to address what's coming up on the side. And again, if it doesn't work out for you to go to the help page to get support for coming on screen, then I would just let it go and write your questions in the box or the sidebar. As I said, they're not. I mentioned yesterday, I think you were on the call, Spencer. They're not having these issues on the European side, so it's not a crowdcast issue at this point. It might be your computer or. So check out that help page. Christine, something new today. I was able to not resist, but hold space for all those pulls. Yeah. It's really interesting, Christine, this way in which it's so subtle, but sometimes we don't even realize that we're resisting the movement towards the object. So in our meditation practice, for example, we might be habituated to always focus on, let's say, self-doubt, the process of self-doubt. It's very tempting for us to notice that and then to have the next step be, now I'm going to resist that I have that temptation. So thank you for naming that. It's incredibly useful in practice when we can find the experience of not resisting even that habituated activity that we've become clear is the source of suffering. So the resistance is like the second arrow, isn't it? Recognizing thoughts, feelings, sensations arise, just like breathing, which of course I'd never judge or resist. Exactly. So the breath is sensations in the body. That's simply what is. We don't resist that in the same way, although we are conditioned to resist discomfort and pain in the body, aren't we? So you'd never resist that, but it's so tempting to resist a conditioned process because, again, it's like there's something smart about that. There's something intelligent in that. So we don't have to judge that. There's something intelligent there. We know that if I keep focusing on, for example, the process of self-doubt, I'm going to suffer. So now my conditioned tendency is to resist falling into that process. Hopefully, when we see it through in that light, we can have compassion for that process. This helped me become aware of being with these aspects of experience without judging their presence. Beautiful. Well said. Why would I, if they're just doing what they do, like breathing? Exactly. The conditioned mind, friends, is going to do what the conditioned mind does. It's not something we have to resist, try to control, change. And Christine, I love that you're writing this in, because I know that you work with young people. You have cultivated, and this is a natural expression of your essence, but you've also cultivated your capacity to be with whatever arises within the young people that you've spent so much time with. It's easy there, I imagine, for you. So it's interesting, isn't it, to just draw a correlation of, now, how might I offer that to myself? Hope that made sense. It can be tricky without seeing you, but hopefully that made sense, and let me know if it didn't. Thank you, Christine, for writing in. Evelyn, alternatively, presence and story telling of the conditioned mind. Yes. Sort of a back and forth is what I'm hearing in that, Evelyn. Yes, thank you. Richard, only presence. Yes. Practice refers to someone practicing. Yes. More to say. It's fun. Richard, I will acknowledge that is why many teachers in the non-dual tradition don't actually even say practice, because practice kind of imply that there's a doing that needs to occur. In my experience in this setting, I use the word practice with a bit of a caveat. So, for example, I've seen enough folks take this notion of there's nothing to practice, there's no one to practice, into a realm of distortion. So some folks refer to it as like neo-Advaita. So it goes into this realm of, therefore, so there's a conditioned conclusion that gets drawn. Therefore, there's no one to blame for any of my actions. There's no one here. So if I'm acting out of integrity, it doesn't matter. There's no one to have integrity or not have integrity. So I've seen some distortion arise, and therefore suffering arise for folks. And so it can be very useful to bring clarity to how we speak about practice. So Richard, thank you for writing in. The way I find it helpful to speak about practice, simply the recognition that it does take some intention to, let's just say, for example, even show up for this session. It takes something for us to come and to be, to agree to get out of bed, to find that willingness. I have found in my own life great benefit from touching that willingness a practice, because what that allows me to do in a moment where there's suffering is to return to a practice. So I can see when there's suffering, I can give the attention to a practice of remembrance, a practice of returning. Yes, in truth, we're not really doing anything. In fact, what we're remembering is that there is no one that needs to do lots of things in practice in order to have an experience. But that's not my felt experience if I'm suffering. My felt experience if I'm suffering is, help, let me return to that place of presence that I know. Let me come back to center. So thank you for bringing that question in. Richard, I'd love to hear if that resonates with you. Mimosa. Oh, okay. Thank you, Cassandra. You just mentioned that there's a question in the question box. So let me go to that one and then I'll come back to you, Mimosa. Thank you so much. Thank you, Cassandra. I find it difficult to find out what or when I'm in an I find it difficult to find out what or when I am in observing the observer. Can you elaborate on it? Is it you feel as whole, but how can you see the observer, or am I lost in language? Karen, if you can come on screen, please do. That would be lovely. And let us know if that's an option for you, please. When simply, Karen, I'm going to see if you can come on screen, and if you can't, no worries. We'll continue this way. But while I'm waiting to find out, I'm going to go back and read Mimosa's comment, and then I'll come back to this. Mimosa, as yesterday, I found going straight to awareness wonderful, and then awareness of awareness seemed like such a natural practice. Yes, actually, this relates to what Karen's writing in, doesn't it? So yesterday I found going straight to awareness wonderful, and then awareness of awareness seemed like such a natural practice. I think that's a good way to say it, Mimosa. It's a natural practice. It's not something, as Richard was pointing to, it's not something you have to do. Thank you. Okay, Karen, you do not have a microphone. No worries. Thank you. Thank you. So Karen, here's what I would like to encourage you to try. Go now straight to the experience of knowing your experience, whatever that is in this moment. Just go to, and others on the call, please follow along. Go to the experience, for example, of knowing sounds around you. So rather than focusing on all the different sounds, go to the experience of knowing the sounds, or being aware of your awareness of the sounds. That's the shift that we're pointing to today. If you feel whole there, that's simply your way of describing a quality of awareness, which is beautiful. Yes, awareness is whole. It's not divided. It's not separated out. I'd love to know if that resonates, feels like it's in alignment with your experience too, Karen. But thanks for inviting clarification. This is a place that is meant, these prompts are meant to be invitations, opportunities for inquiry. So watch for any conditioned tendency to try to find the right answer. All right, Spencer, thank you for writing in a practice question. I was enjoying the being in presence Then Caverly mentioned Ramana's name and his suggestion to drop the mind into the heart of awareness. Then I had boarded the train of thoughts. It seemed like a seamless transition. Later, I noticed that being immersed in presence seemed like presence was a central point, and all was happening within this. When thoughts arose, it seemed like I was on board some sort of slowly moving vehicle. Any comments? Yes, Spencer, watch for any tendency. Go back to the exchange that Christine and I had. Watch for any tendency to make the thoughts separate from presence. Thoughts are arising in presence. Thoughts are known by awareness. The thoughts are comprised of awareness or consciousness. So this notion of thoughts are over here, awareness is over here, is a created notion. Thank you, Spencer. We can talk more in the Wednesday night class. I know you've attended that. At times, it'd be lovely to be able to have a further exchange about that. I'd like to, and as Cassandra mentioned at the beginning, you're all invited to that. There's a link that Cassandra put in the sidebar. And if you're in Europe, again, once I'm not doing these morning calls, we'll offer a time that we can gather. Those of you who are in dramatically different time zones. So Richard, yes, this calling to the cushion, I'm so curious about its source. What generates awareness? It's fascinating, Richard. Why are we so compelled to think something generates awareness? Isn't it the opposite? Awareness, if we were to use this word, generates thought. Awareness generates this body mind. See, you're placing awareness in the space-time continuum. You're speaking about awareness as if it starts and ends, generates, has a birth and a death. That would be an interesting place to explore, have some inquiry around. Richard, thank you. All right, Cassandra, thank you for posting that link. Friends, thank you for today. Thank you for your presence. Cassandra, thank you for your service, and Sangha Live, thank you, as always, for making this available to so many. I'm grateful. See you soon.